Indiana in control. Rick Pizzo, Brian Butch, Rafael Davis in studio. Up next here on Big Ten Network, Purdue NC State Hall of Fame Invitational. Rafael, how does Purdue bounce back from the loss to Rutgers?
They got to get back to defending at a high level. Defend your man, guard off the ball, and play hard.
Jaden Ivey on a big stage on Madison Square Garden. I'm going to tune in.
Coming off that loss, must-see TV without question. But first, we must see the margin of victory for the Hoosiers as we send it back to Chris and Jess. Coming up next here on Big Ten Network, it is Purdue NC State, part of the Hall of Fame Invitational. Purdue trying to wash away the aftertaste of the amazing finish, at least from the Rutgers perspective, this past Thursday night.
Here he is, Williams. Patient. Going to work. Got it! The answer! 3 seconds. No timeouts. Harper for the win! Oh!
Yes, Purdue's first true road game did not bode well for the Boilers. Averaged more than 90 through their first 8 games. Now, give Rutgers credit. Scarlet Knights played tough defense, but just 68 on Thursday. Gave up 70, and the field goal percentage just wasn't there for Purdue. Rafael, you understand this. It's very hard to become number one in the nation, have a couple of days to chew on that, then get back out and play in a tough place like the RAC against a team that gets in your face. But Purdue's effort was definitely disappointing. They're going to need to show up defensively today against NC State.
Yeah, show up defensively and just play hard. I know Coach has been in the air this week, just since losing Thursday, about just playing hard, playing the right way, defending on the ball, defending off the ball, and getting back to Purdue defense in the Purdue way. But Thursday just wasn't enough effort for them. So they got to come out and just play hard.
Well, I thought Rutgers did a good job. I think other teams, NC State's going to have to take a look at it. They limited the threes. They limited the shots for Jaden Ivey, and then they said, okay, we're going to let the bigs eat. That's fine. We're going to limit the other two. Let's see if NC State does that, because I think that's a key for the success of NC State against Purdue. Purdue's got to get Jaden Ivey involved, hit some threes, and then still get your bigs involved. But, there's a little bit of a blueprint out here to how to beat Purdue.
Despite the loss to Rutgers, Travion Williams was absolutely fantastic in that game. He will likely be the focus for Purdue's offense again today. But if you didn't get to see this young man from NC State, Darion Sebron, during the Big Ten ACC Challenge when NC State played Nebraska, went to 4 overtimes, he had 38 and 19 in that game in 57 minutes. Let's hope the Boilers can limit it to a few less than that coming up this afternoon. For Rafael and Brian, I'm Rick. We'll be with you all throughout the day. But first, Brandon Gaudin, Robbie Hummel, and Andy Katz have the call from the Barclay Center.
Basketball on the Big Ten Network is presented by the all-new 2022 Grand Wagoneer. From New York City, from Brooklyn, New York to be precise. The Basketball Hall of Fame Invitational. It's the Purdue Boilermakers, the #1 team in the land, trying to rebound for the loss on Thursday against Rutgers, taken on NC State out of the ACC. And we welcome you courtside, everybody. He's Robbie Hummel, and I'm Brandon Gaudin. Well, so Purdue, they've got to try to bounce back from that buzzer-beater, heartbreaking loss against Rutgers. Not going to be easy today. NC State's played some pretty good basketball this year.
No, a really tough NC State ball club. It's amazing to me, Brandon, how a loss always exposes flaws that have always been there, but when you're winning, they maybe just don't come out. Whether it's the turnovers, some of the defensive lapses that Purdue has had over the last 2 games, it's a fact. Purdue just hasn't shot the ball as well as they did to start the season. Still a very good basketball team. There is no question. The depth, the talent, it's all there, but now Matt Painter has their attention. You have to think still a lot to look forward to for this Purdue basketball team.
All right, let's welcome in the 3rd member of our on-air crew. Here's Andy Katz.
All right, thank you, guys. Well, I just caught up with Matt Painter in the back hallway here, and I said, first off, how are your guys going to handle that buzzer-beating loss at Rutgers? He said, we're going to find out in a few moments. 34 and 17, that's the number he threw at me. That's the numbers from their 2 bigs, Zach Edey and Travion Williams. He says when you get that kind of production, normally you would win. That wasn't the case. Why? Because he was very displeased with their defense. And lastly, he said, Iowa, Rutgers, you let teams hang around. Iowa made it close. They can bite you and come back and win. It's exactly what happened against Rutgers.
Yeah, that Harper buzzer beater. Let's get you the starting lineups now, presented by the all-new 2022 Grand Wagoneer. For Purdue, Jaden Ivey still the leading scorer at just under 16 points a game, the sophomore. And for NC State, keep your eye on their sophomore sensation, Darion Sebron. He leads them in points, he leads them in rebounds, he leads them in assists, and he leads them in steals. And Matt Painter, four-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Andy talked about his thought process and trying to get his team back on track. But it was quick. You got to turn around. They stayed out here after the loss at Rutgers and try to flush that and move forward.
Well, it's always amazing to me how when you look at some of these events you play in, if you started off with a loss, it can ruin the trip. And I'm sure it's been an interesting couple days for Purdue's basketball team. Matt Painter's been through it. He's been through the wars. I fully expect them to come out and play good basketball today against an NC State team that's going to really look to put pressure on you, whether it's on offense or defense. They are a tough ball club.
7-2 coming in. Kevin Keats, fifth-year head coach. It is the first time ever that he has faced a #1 team as a head coach. He's had some success against top 10 programs at NC State. 5 wins and 12 tries against top 10 opponents. And a lot of people may remember their 4 overtime victory over Nebraska, 104-100.
How about Darion Sebron's line in that game? 39 points, 19 rebounds. They played an extra half of basketball. You have to understand, this NC State team is looking to drive the ball. A huge game for Purdue in terms of their defense at containing the bounce, because you look at Darion Sebron, Cam Hayes, these guys can get into the paint. They can make things happen.
Off we go, a doubleheader from Brooklyn. Thanks for tuning in with us, everybody. On the whistle, DJ Karstensen, Brian Dorsey, and Paul Sells.
Purdue loves to get Zach Edey going on the first possession of the game. Here they're going to the big fella. He hasn't been as good the last 3 games. They're going to go right at Ebenezer Dewana.
But Edey cannot get it to drop, and there's a rebound to Sebron.
Done by Dewana, just going straight up, making Edey score over the top and pushing Zach Edey off that block.
NC State, we talked about the wins, the 2 losses to Louisville and Oklahoma State, so nothing bad right now on the resume for the Wolfpack.
This is going to be a matchup to watch right here. Isaiah Thompson getting the start. That's a huge shot. Flavion Smith, I'm telling you, Brandon, he is looking to get him up from 3. He can really shoot the basketball. Last 2, he's made 50% of his threes. He is an aggressive freshman and the reigning ACC Freshman of the Week.
Yeah, he started the last couple with the entry they had to Casey Morsell. There's Edey again, another good look, but he missed it.
Not going to get a better look than that. You can see NC State's pressure trying to push Purdue's offense out. We saw that Thursday. Rutgers did a great job of that.
This is Jericho Helms, 15 points a game for him, but he loses it, a turnover. Up ahead, Stefanovic, he'll take that all day, but he misses. Edey trying to tap it out. Purdue the last couple, they've struggled to shoot it. Helms, right at the rim, a good start for the Wolfpack.
A total breakdown in transition defense. You get a wide open shot. NC State, not good transition defense themselves. Sasha Stefanovic unable to knock it down, then you don't get back. And Jericho Helms making you pay in transition.
In that loss to Rutgers, Purdue was just 7 of 26 from outside the arc, and they also allowed Rutgers to shoot the ball at 52%, the best against Purdue this season. Here's Ivey, the sophomore sensation, but Helms tapped it out from behind with 7 to shoot.
Matt Painter not going to like this. This is a wide open shot for Sasha Stefanovic. You don't get the rebound, you don't get back, you don't find a man. And Jericho Helms, Jaden Ivey late to the party, but Helms with an uncontested layup.
Helms been playing really well the last 6 games, 17.5 a contest. Here's Stefanovic again, but that was way off the mark and out of bounds. And Helms is the only 4th-year senior in this NC State program, so he's been with Kevin Keats the entire time, and he has improved every season.
He's really having a nice stretch. Had 31 points against Louisiana Tech. Actually played at the same high school as Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum in St. Louis at Chaminade High. Some talent coming out of that place.
Yeah, he played on Bradley Beal's AAU team there as well. Kicks to the corner. 3 is good for number 3, Cam Hayes.
Cam Hayes has not shot the ball well on the year, but a simple pick and roll. It's all on the weak side. Purdue's help defense coming in. They're encouraging that skip pass. And Cam Hayes, probably not exactly a guy you're going to stick with on the scouting report at the 3-point line, but he knocks that one down.
Well, NC State 14th in the ACC at three-point shooting, but they've hit too early here as Smith picks up the foul. It's a cliche, but sometimes that's contagious. You got a team that's struggling to shoot. You hit a couple early, you start feeling good. Purdue 0 of 4 to start. Down inside again, and Edey's being held by Ebenezer Dewana. And for Purdue fans, if that name sounds familiar, it's because his brother Emmanuel played at Purdue, didn't see the floor much, ended up transferring this summer to Tennessee State.
Ebenezer Dewana has gotten so much better over the course of the season. You lose Manny Bates just 57 seconds into the year with a shoulder injury. Right now, Dewana trying his best, but he's given up some serious weight inside. Zach Edey got great position and finally able to capitalize right at the basket.
You mentioned it. Zach Edey's got 70 pounds on him, and he gets Purdue on the board here.
I like this matchup. This is two big-time athletes, and you better believe Darion Sebron is looking to get to the rim every time he touches the basketball.
Yeah, again, he and Ivey both sophomores. That's going to be fun to track. Smith pulls, and there's a strong rebound for Edey. Jaden Ivey, 15 in the loss at Rutgers, missing there, and it comes down to Smith. They push with numbers. Sebron right to the rim. He missed it.
There's been some bunnies on both sides, and that was really well executed, but you got to convert on that end.
No look pass, but what a block by Dewana. Terquavion Smith, the freshman. What a scoop. Well, you missed the bunnies, and then you hit that one.
The degree of difficulty right there, 100. That's a heck of a take from Terquavion Smith, and now that pressure, Purdue coughing it up.
Boy, Purdue is struggling in the early going. What a start for NC State. Timeout on the floor. Basketball on the Big Ten Network is presented by the all-new 2022 Grand Wagoneer. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Brooklyn, short subway ride over from Manhattan, and NC State 10-2. Great start for them, Robbie. 4 of 6 from the floor.
They have certainly gotten off to a great start on the offensive end of the floor. A team that has not shot the ball well from 3 all season. 2 for 2 early. They've got some quality looks. You have to believe Purdue scouting report is going to clog that paint, stop some of these NC State guards from getting into that painted area. But if NC State's going to shoot the ball well, that could pose some problems here.
Kevin Keats, NCAA tournament his first year there, 2 NITs since, but they haven't been back to the big dance. He's got him up 9 here with a little over 4 gone by. Eric Hunter into the game. Ivey tracked closely, fouled by Morcell as we go back over to Andy.
Well, you can imagine that Matt Painter was pretty hot during that huddle, and I heard him say 3 times, no layups, no layups, no layups, to make sure that he emphasized no layups.
Yeah, well, they had the 2 layups, the 2 3-pointers. That's how they've gotten their buckets so far. That foul on Casey Morcell, I mentioned that he was out the last 2 with a left ankle sprain for NC State number 14, but obviously back out today. Brandon Newman going to take a deep 3 off the heel. Hunter couldn't get it, ripped away by Morcell.
Casey Morcell just took it right away from Eric Hunter. We talked about Morcell being back. That's a big guy to get back for Kevin Keats. He can make shots from the perimeter. A veteran presence, played 2 years at Virginia. Brings some toughness, and you saw it right there on that rebound.
Yeah, he gives him 12 points a game. That went through the hands of Helms and over here by us. A careless turnover for the Wolfpack. But it looks like NC State really getting after Purdue defensively early.
They are pressuring that basketball, just like we saw Thursday in Piscataway. Rutgers may have built a little bit of a template here. They were physical with Purdue's guards. They pressured the basketball and pushed out on catches. End of the day, Purdue needs to get the ball to this man. Let Travion Williams go to work because he's been balling.
Look at that reverse. He had 21 and 11 against Rutgers and a nice bucket there.
Back-to-back double-doubles for Travion Williams, averaging 17 points and 14 rebounds over the course of those 2 games. And they've got to go early and often to Williams, get him some touches, get him into the rhythm of this game.
One of the senior leaders out of Chicago, Illinois. Helms stops and threw it to the other side. Yeah, he thought he got fouled. Ivy, full head of steam, ripped out of bounds by Smith. Smith claiming it went off of Ivy, but he's not going to win that argument.
Travion Williams going to work, and that's Jalen Gibson. 6'10", only 220-pound sophomore. Once again, you mentioned earlier with Edey, Travion Williams, 265. Some of these NC State bigs going to be giving up some serious weight.
Williams, this time he can also take you off the bounce. Missed it. Look who's flying in there. Gillis cleaning it up.
And that's what Mason Gillis does. He gets on the offensive glass. It's the hustle plays, the extra effort. We saw it against Iowa 2 games ago, and there Travion Williams unable to get it to go. Mason Gillis right there with the putback.
Gillis rounding into form after being suspended the first 4 games of the season. Baseline drive in the fade, air ball. Offensive rebound, great pass, fitted underneath. Boy, Jalen Gibson on the feed.
Just a nice awareness play by Jalen Gibson. The air ball long. Purdue unable to secure the defensive rebound, but give credit to Jalen Gibson, aware of grabbing that ball and finding his man for a layup.
Ivy from the wing, off the heel, there's Williams. Another great offensive rebounder, one of the best in the country.
That's where NC State has struggled this year. It's going to be a challenge for them on the glass with these Purdue bigs and the big Purdue guards.
Well, Purdue cold from 3, knocked out of bounds. It'll stay on this end. Well, still to come, the action continues here in Brooklyn. Maryland and number 20 Florida. Big Ten basketball presented by Wagoneer. Coming up next right here, Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. The Barclay Center, you played here. It's a great venue.
It is a great venue, and when you play here, you get the feeling it's a big deal. The way it's lit, depending on who's here, it depends on who's sitting courtside, but it is a cool place.
Newman, way too much. Purdue, Robbie, 0 of 6 from outside the arc.
He took some bad shots at Rutgers, and we're seeing Sasha Stefanovic check into the scorer's table. That's just not a look that you want right now when you're struggling to score.
I mentioned the numbers, but Purdue was at 45% from deep a couple of games ago, but they've struggled against Rutgers, and now today off to a cold start. To your point, Newman sits here. In Purdue, they stayed out in Jersey after the loss Thursday, came to Brooklyn yesterday, so they've been here a couple of days, got a good practice in. As we said, trying to flush the memory of that heartbreaking loss.
Good hands.
And now Stefanovic with numbers to Williams to the basket.
Travion Williams is so long. There's so many guards that come off the ball screen. They think there's no way he can get to this. Those long arms coming in handy. He gets the steal. Sasha Stefanovic paying it off, drops it off for Travion Williams.
Williams has that look in his eye. He is hungry out there. And Stefanovic gets a hand on it. And Purdue really ratcheting up the intensity. Helms misses, Williams there for the board.
I think for Purdue, you've got to go right back to Travion Williams right here. He's played really well. Get him a touch.
Stefanovic does get it to him. Great kick. Hunter gets his feet set, but misses it badly. Man, it belongs to NC State. Timeout.
Purdue 0 of 7 from 3 now, but this is going to help you get that field goal percentage up. The steal by Travion Williams. Sasha Stefanovic leading the break, and Travion Williams going up and throwing it down for the Boilermakers.
State of Success brought to you by State Farm. Yeah, Purdue was in 380 polls before they were ranked #1 for the first time, and then, of course, the loss Thursday, trying to bounce back from that. Ironically, Robbie, the only team that's ever been in more polls without being ranked #1 is Maryland. They've been in 423 polls, and we'll see them next against Florida. Purdue, with Williams back on the bench. Got to get some of these shots to start dropping. You mentioned the numbers, but 0 of 7 from deep.
Some of these three-pointers, too. Whether it's Brandon Newman or Eric Hunter's last 3 from the corner, they haven't even been close.
Down inside, there's Helms using the pivot foot. DeWanna lost it going up.
Nice job by Zach Edey going straight up and contesting that shot. A nice cut by Ebenezer DeWanna, but Zach Edey right there to contest.
And we talked, Robbie, about the lack of depth of big guys for NC State, and that's already 2 on DeWanna here.
Of course, it's Jalen Gibson getting up and checking in. Behind Jalen Gibson, I guess you'd go Ernest Ross, but I mean, as a freshman, 6'9", 190, giving up almost 100 pounds.
Yeah. Ethan Morton into the game, bringing it up here for Purdue. 6 all-time meeting between these two programs, last in 2014 at Mackey Arena in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. And good defense there by Gibson. The other way, Smith. Yes, and the foul on Stefanovic. So Stefanovic with the errant pass, and then he commits the foul.
Well, Purdue turning it over, trying to get the ball into Zach Edey. Edey unable to hold Gibson off, and now it's off to the races. Terquavion Smith, another tough contested make at the basket. Takes the contact, and now an opportunity for a three-point play.
What a great start for the freshman, and you touted him, but 4-star recruit. He's already got 8 points. He'll try to make it 9 at the line.
He's really grown as well. You watched him early in the season, and there was not a shot that he did not like. He's always going to be aggressive. He's a scorer. He can make shots from the perimeter, but really starting to settle in and now starting to find some efficiency.
Yeah, the only thing Kevin Keats said is you need to bulk him up and improve his defense a little bit, but he's only a freshman, 160 pounds. There's a foul inside on Gibson. Will send Edey to the line.
NC State foul charged against 11, Jalen Gibson. His first, team Smith.
NC State was going to be the most athletic team that they will have faced to date. More so than Iowa, more so than Rutgers, and that definitely concerned him during his prep time, how athletic NC State was going to be and how much they were going to run against Purdue.
And that has been the case here early. Look, I mean, Kevin Keats, you can sometimes get caught up in the stars next to, but these are some guys on his teams that had high-level offers for a couple of 5-star guys even.
They've got a lot of talent. There's no question about that. Manny Bates' injury certainly changed the early projection of what this team could be. You bring DeWanna in, and he's done some really positive things. Jalen Gibson's still very young, but there's some talented guards here. They can really get to that painted area. And today they've shot the ball well from the perimeter.
Thompson getting on the ground and saving it to Morton. Turnovers so far, 4 for NC State, 2 for Purdue. Stefanovic lost it, but first is there. And then he throws it away. Hayes lays it up and in.
Whole possession just seemed doomed from the start. Sasha Stefanovic's drive seemed out of control. Pass wasn't even close. Now you throw a lazy pass. NC State taking advantage and pressuring this ball.
7 fast break points for NC State. They're back up 8 now. First, dumping it down. Edey, great position.
That's exactly where they have to go right now. The shots aren't going from the perimeter. Have Zach Edey bury his man. He does that right there. You get him the ball in a high-low situation. Zach Edey getting it done.
Zach Edey, the sophomore from Toronto up in Canada, averaging 15 and 7 a game, 18 minutes a game. He and Travion Williams split the minutes, never play together. Hayes open, in rhythm. And a rebound to Edey.
That was fortunate. Purdue miscommunicates right there. They rotate, nobody home on that backside.
And there's a foul in transition back to that Edey bucket.
He did his work early on this play. Zach Edey's a nice job. You can see him pushing Jalen Gibson up that lane. He's got his backside on him. You do your work early, more often than not, good things are going to happen. Zach Edey doing just that right there.
All 5 of Purdue's field goals have been in the paint. Stefanovic, a little too far for Edey. Another careless turnover. And Thompson saved an easy bucket there by fouling Helms.
Really smart play by Isaiah Thompson, but NC State wanted some full denial on that under out of bounds. Nobody getting open, and then the pass just over the top of Zach Edey. Purdue on offense right now just looks totally out of sorts.
I mean, do you think it's as simple as it's a little bit of a hangover from Rutgers?
It probably is, but credit to NC State. Their pressure has really given Purdue problems.
Three-pointer airballed from the corner by Allen. Oh, the official is going to send it the other way. The call just got overturned. It belongs to Purdue. Well, Wednesday, Mike Hall, Jerry DiNardo, Howard Griffith, and recruiting expert Alan True bring you 3 hours of analysis covering the entire conference on the Big Ten Live Signing Day Special, Wednesday, 2 Eastern, Big Ten Network, and the Fox Sports app.
The way Purdue has played offensively, this ball has got to go inside every time.
Well, there it goes. The foul before the slam. Boy, talk about a rim rattler.
Once again, they're pushing him right up the lane. The pass is over the top, and this is Brandon Gaudinesque and Evansville retyped reach, right?
Stop it. I didn't go there. Quit it. That's the second foul on Gibson. So now Gibson and Dewana both with 2, Robbie, for NC State.
I think Jalen Gibson's just going to have to stay in this game and try his best not to get his 3rd foul.
Unfortunately, Zach Edey can't hit at the stripe.
He's been good from the free throw line this year, too. It's just Purdue shooting the basketball today. They've struggled.
79% coming in. But nothing dropping for the Boilermakers here at the Barclay Center. Quavion Smith, I mentioned he's 160 pounds. So is the guy guarding him, Isaiah Thompson. Couple of welterweights. Step back for Smith. No.
That's a good defensive possession for Purdue. Nice switch. Caleb First getting a good contest at the end.
Ivy. Maybe he'll give the Boilers a spark. Offensive board. Edey stick back.
Right now, Purdue's best offense is thrown to the post and then just on a missed shot, let your bigs go get it. Zach Edey in the right place at the right time. That ball comes right to him, and he's just too big.
Now all 6 Purdue field goals still in the paint here. Meanwhile, Jaden Ivey, leading scorer, 0 for 3, hasn't scored today. Helms on the fade. They say no foul, and it went off of NC State. And we're upon immediate timeout. The Boilers, the #1 team in the land, try to claw their way back.
Purdue 0 of 7 from the 3-point line, but Zach Edey has been pretty good today. He's got 7 points, leading the Boilers in scoring. He's done his work early, pushed his defender up the lane. The NC State front court in some serious foul trouble right now, so expect Purdue to keep going to the big fella and let him and Trevion Williams go to work.
Edey with 7. Trevion Williams with 4 off the bench. 11 of Purdue's 13 here. But you're also going to have to get contributions from Jaden Ivey at some point, right?
No question. And I think you have to give credit to the NC State guards for pressuring the ball, and Jaden Ivey has missed some shots that we've seen him make, but it's just a matter of time for him. I mean, he's so talented. NC State's done a nice job of limiting Purdue's opportunities in transition, and that's really where Jaden Ivey is at his best.
NC State with a 4-point lead. First time they faced a #1 team since 2014. Another missed jumper, this one by Mason Gillis. NC State 6 and 28 all time against first-ranked opponents in the country. Helms, who had a great start for the Wolfpack. Shot clock at 5. And the three-pointer rattles down for Cam Hayes.
Another miscommunication with Purdue in pick-and-roll action. I believe it was Jaden Ivey and I think Isaiah Thompson who went with one guy, and you end up leaving Cam Hayes. I know he's not a good three-point shooter, but this dude is on scholarship, you know. You have to respect your opponent. Purdue just not doing the little things right now.
Yeah, now Hayes 2 of 3 from deep, but you're right, he came in 7 of 36, less than 20% from 3. Williams, great pass out to Mason Gillis, and he buries Purdue's first triple of the afternoon.
Absolutely needed. That ball goes into the post. Mason Gillis has been a very good three-point shooter over the last 2 years, and even on this season, shooting 43% from the three-point line. Finally, that lid comes off from downtown.
Unofficially, Travion Williams leads the country in cross-court one-handed skip passes. There's no question. Another 3 for NC State. This one by Morsell.
He can definitely knock down those types of shots. Casey Morsell, welcome back. An ankle injury sidelined him for a couple games, but shooting 39 on the year, finds himself open, pops back, and knocks it down from 3.
For Big Ten fans who remember Daryl Morsell, who was at Maryland, now Marquette, no relation to Casey, but they are both from the D.C. area. Travion Williams, did he travel? Yes, he did.
Purdue defense on the last 2 possessions, some miscommunications going on here. Actually, it was Mason Gillis, not Isaiah Thompson. They both go with Jericho Helms. Now Jaden Ivey is late getting out, ends up in an open 3, and then a nice dribble drive. Sasha Stefanovic late on the closeout. Casey Morsell can shoot that thing, and he's doing it right there on the right wing.
NC State has been up from the start in this ball game. Jumped out to a 10-2 lead. Gibson off the glass over Williams.
That's a tough take from Jalen Gibson.
Jalen Gibson, last 3 games, did not score and played a total of 15 minutes, but increased minutes here with the foul trouble. And remember, Gibson is playing with 2. Gillis, another one. And Williams strong inside.
Got a mismatch right here with Morsell.
There's that one-handed skip around the yard. Ball movement. But Ivey cannot hit it. Another offensive board.
They are doing their jobs on the offensive glass. Purdue getting good looks. Eventually, these are going to go. They're too good of a shooting team.
There you go.
You give these guys enough opportunities, it's going to be a struggle for NC State to compete with Purdue's bigs on the glass today. 3 opportunities on that possession, 3 pretty good looks, and finally Jaden Ivey paying it off.
Jaden Ivey had missed his first 4 shots before knocking that down. That pass too tall. Morsell threw it over the head of Smith. Well, later tonight, women's hoop showdown. 10th ranked Indiana facing number 20 Ohio State. Women's basketball presented by Disney Parks. Don't miss it. 7 Eastern tonight right here, Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Each team 5 turnovers now after that miscue for NC State.
Jaden Ivey blew up that play. It's amazing how when the ball goes through the net for you, defense all of a sudden you have some energy. I love the way he guarded right there. Honestly, that pass is on time. He's going the opposite direction for a dunk.
Ernest Ross is in defending Williams. Let's see if Purdue goes into the big fella. Again, Ross just a freshman defending the post at a high low. And there's a foul on Ernest Ross right away. And we've got a timeout on the floor inside of 4 minutes. Jaden Ivey, he hit that last shot. Let's see if Purdue can get him going. NC State 7-2 on the season, and right now up 6 over the number 1 team in the land, the Purdue Boilermakers. Brandon Gaudin, Robbie Hummel, Andy Katz back with you for our first of 2 games. And NC State, they certainly have shot it better today than they have on the season.
Well, they've got good looks, and I'm sure that's a part of what Purdue's scouting report was, to be in the gaps, stop dribble drives, and NC State has made them pay. Now, the question will be, can that carry over into the second half? But give Kevin Keats' ball club a lot of credit. They have come out here and knocked down open shots when they've had them from the perimeter.
And Purdue defensively, I think, has maybe left something to be desired.
Yeah, some of the miscommunications have been a little bit surprising to see from a veteran group, and I think there were some defensive mistakes Thursday as well that were surprising from some veteran guys. I thought Jaden Ivey ended that game had some miscues. Sasha Stefanovic didn't do a great job of guarding, I didn't think, and honestly right now the Purdue backcourt really struggling. Front court's accounted for 16 and 19 points.
And Purdue now 1 of 4 at the foul line, and that's something they've excelled in. Williams had a steal earlier, and he knocks it out here. He was trying to say that it went off.
I thought Trevion Williams was right there. Again, that length is there. He's just going to reach in. I thought he tapped it right off that knee. He's 100% right.
So a break for NC State. Darion Sebron in the corner.
Trevion Williams just out there playing center field, and Ernest Ross on the floor. He's basically a roving defender right now.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I mean, make him prove it. He's got 4 points on the year. I think Ernest Ross a little bit maybe overwhelmed right now with who he's guarding. Hasn't played a ton of minutes. Especially with the way NC State's guards can drive it and make plays. I absolutely like it.
Yeah, you're right, just 5 minutes a game for the freshman. He's in there with a foul trouble to Dewana and Gibson. Ethan Morton giving it to Williams on the elbow. Great pass. Boy, he is such a good passer.
Yes, he is, but the slip by Ethan Morton right there. Well done, well executed, and you find an easy basket finally for Purdue.
Right down the lane, there's Ross. Well, now he has 6 points on the season.
That ball was moving on that possession, and you get a quick reversal. Ernest Ross doing a nice job of cutting, finds himself all by himself.
He was a pretty highly touted recruit, 4-star. He had offers from LSU and Texas A&M, amongst others. Purdue hanging tough, but still down a half dozen here. Again, up top, boy, they left Ivy all alone, but he missed the three.
Does not get any more open than that. NC State really fortunate in a miscommunication.
And a bump on the way to the basket against Ivy on the other end. And Jaden Ivey against Rutgers, he scored 15 points, only put up 9 shots. So there are times where, and again, I know with the size advantage, you're saying Purdue needs to go inside, but do you want Ivy to maybe take over a game a little bit more?
They don't run much for him in the half court. I mean, they really let him play in transition. I think Matt Painter, as this goes on, is going to have to find ways to maybe get him more looks in their half court offense. He's just so talented. How can you get him going downhill so he can make plays? That's a heck of a way to start.
And here he is. Folks, it's showtime. Maybe that'll be the jolt.
What a play. I mean, just the awareness to go over and get that ball, make that play on the basketball, block a shot, and then get out in transition. That was big time from Jaden Ivey.
Through the hands of Ross. 8 turnovers for NC State.
He comes from the corner, and that's big-time defensive awareness. Now you're right, it's showtime. And Jaden Ivey, as good as anybody in the open floor, just goes up and hammers it.
So Ivey now with 5 to go along with a couple of rebounds. And now backdoor, another hammer!
Is terrific awareness. They're going to overplay you coming off that dribble handoff, cut right back door. Trevion Williams, a big-time pass, and finally some energy in the building from this Purdue crowd.
And a bump by Ethan Morton. That last assist by Williams, his 4th of the half, Robbie.
He can really pass it. Just a nice cut by Jaden Ivey. Terquavion Smith a little over-aggressive. Weak side help, nowhere to be found. Jaden Ivey throwing it down.
Well, watching Purdue at shoot-around, one thing that just jumps out at you is how high Jaden Ivey can get off the floor.
He's a live wire athlete.
So is this guy at the line, Darion Sebron.
He's been quiet.
Yeah, he has been quiet.
3 field goal attempts. I mean, we have seen him for the course of this season just look to get buckets. He's a heck of a story. Averaged 5 and 4 last year. Devin Daniels gets hurt end of the season. He gets a little bit of an expanded role. But he has just thrived this year. He's come a long way. And right now leading the ACC in double-doubles. Second rebounding, leads the ACC in rebounding. Second in points per game.
And you mentioned that game he had against Nebraska, 39-19 in the 4 overtime win. Ivy kick to the corner, almost taken away. And now it is taken away, and there is Sebron. Tried the Euro step and got hit hard by Gillis. And it'll be a 1-and-1.
Those long passes against NC State not going to fly, and NC State taking advantage. Darian Sebron, you're right, Brandon, going to that Euro step. Mason Gillis committing a hard foul.
And you mentioned Sebron in last year, the 5 points a game. When he first got to NC State, he was actually academically ineligible, had to redshirt. They thought he'd make an impact that season, but it delayed his start to his Wolfpack career. But we're seeing, and Andy said it, they've got the athleticism. They really have some weapons to compete in the ACC.
That's a league that's going to be wide open this year as well. I have to think that Duke is going to be picked by everybody to win the league, but behind that, there's a lot of question marks.
And NC State up 6 right now, inside of a minute here in the opening half.
See how Purdue handles this pressure. They have not done a good job this season. They've been pressed and pressured by guards.
Morton trying to get it in. Williams is saying throw it over the top, but he didn't. Now Williams steps out to retrieve it. Crossover on Ross. Splits the defenders. Hello, Travion Williams.
He's got Ernest Ross out on an island right there, and there's not many bigs that can handle the basketball as well as Travion Williams can. There's the jab, the crossover dribble, splits the defenders, takes the contact. It's a big-time play from your 5-man right there, and not one that you'll see many centers in America make.
He kept calling for the ball inside. He wasn't getting it, so he went outside, said, here, I'll take it off the dribble. 63% foul shooter, and he misses there.
Leaving a lot of points to foul on him.
And they're now 1-5, but 3 of those misses were the front end of 1-and-1 situation. Kevin Keats had a use it or lose it timeout. He's going to take it with 19.9 remaining. Well, no matter how you slice it, whatever happens the final 20 seconds, Kevin Keats, you have to think, is going to be pretty encouraged going into the locker room.
Honestly, I think that both coaches, in a way, will feel that way. For Kevin Keats, you look at it, you're winning the game, that's great. Darian Sebron has only taken 3 shots, has 6 points. You've gotten some really good contributions from other guys. On the flip side, for Matt Painter, you're not happy about being down, but you have to think Purdue, they can't play much worse offensively in the backcourt. They haven't made shots. They missed free throws. So I think both coaches will have something at halftime to build on and say, look, we're in good shape.
Well, Purdue started 2 of 10 from the floor. They're 10 of 19 since, and as we've been talking about, a lot of those have come at the rim. Points in the paint. 20 of the 27 Purdue points have come in the painted area. See who Kevin Keats goes to here in the final moments of the first half. Cam Hayes, he's setting the table. Here's Sebron. It's going to be Sebron going to work off balance. And picked up at midcourt as the time expires. Wouldn't count, doesn't go anyway. And NC State leads by 4 at intermission over the #1 team in the land. They got out to that 10-2 start. And as we said, Purdue did shoot the ball better later in the half, but curious to see what adjustments Matt Painter makes at intermission as we go over to Andy Katz.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Well, you're down 4. How'd you guys get back into it?
Well, first of all, we got good shots to start the game. Sasha has a couple open threes. Zach has the ball right at the rim twice. Caleb First has a layup, and we come up with nothing. So when you get good shots and you don't get anything, then we had a couple careless turnovers. We took some bad threes after that and just tried to grind it, get some stops. control the boards to the best of our ability, and then execute. They're pretty athletic. They're taking us out of some things. Just got to execute and be more fundamentally sound.
Got your whiteboard right here. What are you going to emphasize at the half?
You got to play hard and you got to play smart. And I think at times we gave a pretty good effort when we didn't play smart and take care of the basketball, and then we fouled at the end. You can't give them free throws right there. You got to make them earn it.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, thank you.
Back to you, Brandon.
All right, Andy, thank you very much. NC State, they haven't beaten the number 1 team since 2013. Up 4 with 20 minutes to go. Halftime show coming up.
Travion Williams was efficient in the first half for the Boilers, starting the play with defense and finishing it with authority. Purdue, though, never led in the first half, and the Boilers trail NC State 31-27 at the break. Welcome to the Big Ten Live Basketball Halftime Report. Rick Pizzo, Brian Butch, Rafael Davis. Of course, Purdue coming off the first loss of the year to Rutgers. Really slow start in this one. Rafael, we heard from Matt Painter his thoughts on how his team got back into the game and what they need to do better in the second half.
Yeah, you hear Coach talking about they just need to make open shots. They got some good looks. They just need to make shots, make the open ones, get the perimeters involved. But the bigs carried the way again for Purdue. But if the perimeters aren't going to make threes, aren't going to make their shots, it'd be a long season. We experienced that a few years ago. You throw the ball to AJ, you throw the ball to Caleb Swanigan, but we just weren't making enough perimeter shots. That catches up to you before the season's over.
We talked about what Rutgers did against Purdue. Same sort of thing here for North Carolina State. Limit Jaden Ivey. He's got 7 points on 8 shots. That's good. That's what you want. Take away the 3. Purdue's 2 of 12 from 3. Let the big guys eat. They've got 13 of the 27 points. So that same roadmap that Rutgers put in place, NC State's following it. That's why they're leading right now.
There's a good trend for Purdue. Boilers missed 16 of their first 23 shots, a bunch of the wide-open variety, made 5 of their last 6 to finish the half. That's why they trimmed that 9-point deficit to just 4. As for the game you're watching in Brooklyn, Purdue has been trailing NC State throughout the first half. A big reason why the defense of the Wolfpack, Terquavion Smith and NC State up 31-27 at the break, turning a block on one end into a layup on the other. Big Ten Live Halftime Report continues right after this. As for the Boilermakers, some work to do in the second half. Down by 4 to the Wolfpack despite the best efforts of the Canadian Condor. Edie has 7 and 5, and Purdue trails 31-27.
NC State leading it at intermission, just across the water from Manhattan and Brooklyn at the Barclay Center. First half stats brought to you by Hotels.com. NC State 46%. They had 4 3-pointers. Purdue struggled to shoot it from the outside. And getting down here for at intermission as we welcome you back courtside. Brandon and Robbie, glad to be with you. NC State, you think about it, Sebron and Helms, 2 of their go-to guys, only made 2 field goals, yet they still really dominated that first half.
Those are the guys that they really count on offensively to get themselves going. Give Terquavion Smith a ton of credit. The freshman has been really aggressive. NC State's defense, the pressure has really affected these Purdue guards. The Purdue front court has done their job for the most part. The back court has really struggled outside of Jaden Ivey, whether it's missing open threes, some defensive lapses. You have to think at halftime, Matt Painter's telling his guards, we have got to play better.
Well, Andy, what did you learn from talking with Kevin Keats?
Well, look, he told me that we're very solid defensively. This is a high-scoring Purdue team. He thought he did a great job, especially defending the three-point line and keeping them out of transition. As for what he stressed at the half, keep defending. And offensively, he feels like it's going to start coming because, as you guys said, Sebron and Helms, only 8 points combined. So feeling pretty good offensively and figuring those 2 guys are going to get going.
Yeah, NC State, what a win, obviously, this would be to already a pretty good start to non-conference play. They were not picked near the top of the ACC, but as you mentioned, Robbie, outside of maybe Duke, it feels like it's going to be anyone's ball game in that conference.
I thought Kevin Keith did a nice job of managing their foul trouble as well. I mean, they could have really went south there in that front court, but credit their bigs for hanging in there.
Wow, count the three and the foul on Stefanovic. What a play on the shot fake by Terquavion Smith.
Terquavion Smith just taking this skip pass off the dribble drive. The head fake gets Stefanovic in the air. He's trying to get back in the play. The contact there. Terquavion Smith has had a fantastic afternoon here in Brooklyn.
He becomes the first in double figures for either team. He now has a dozen after that 4-point play. And just like that, NC State doubles their lead. And a rough go here today for Sasha Stefanovic.
I thought it was a rough go in Piscataway as well.
Yeah.
He did not do a good job on the defensive end. Didn't shoot it well either. Oh, that is so fortunate.
And pass kicked. Yeah, but Sasha Stefanovic, one of the leaders, senior, been around a long time, and obviously everyone knows his three-point shooting, but in a little bit of a funk.
He's a very good passer for the most part, usually as well, but
leads the team in assists this year, over 4 a game. Ivey has it knocked free by Smith. Now he takes it right down the lane into the rim. That's what Jaden Ivey can do, folks.
Boy, I think they got Dewana on that play. Ebenezer Dewana not happy, but look at this burst. Jaden Ivey just blowing right by Terquavion Smith. He is so athletic, and there's the contact. I'm not sure why he's complaining. I mean, he just raked him across the shoulder right there.
And that's the third on Dewana. See how long Kevin Keith keeps him out there. Right now he has nobody subbing in.
If he gets his fourth, they would be in a world of hurt. They managed it in the first half, but I guarantee you Kevin Keith does not want to have to do it in the second.
Jaden Ivey, all-conference freshman last year, now with 10 points here to lead the Boilers. Inside left hand, missed it, Dewana.
But Purdue is fortunate. Eric Hunter has got to be in on that action. And that ball screen's going away from you. He's the help man. You're late. That should have been an easy bucket for Ebenezer Dewana.
Instead, Purdue the other way. Williams short on the jump hook. Hayes outlet. Sebron taking it right at Stefanovic. That Euro step is so pretty.
The way he changes directions. You let Darian Sebron get out in transition. He's so big. He's so quick. And that Euro step is major league.
Redshirt sophomore from Norfolk, Virginia, puts him back up 7. Ivey short on the 3, and look at the rebound by the ACC's top rebounder, Darian Sebron.
Another good look for Jaden Ivey that just does not go down.
Here's a good look on the other side, and that does drop for Smith, and NC State has their largest lead.
They have thrown a haymaker here in Brooklyn. And this is an incredible performance for NC State shooting the basketball. Not a good shooting team on the year, but right now they are raining threes at the Barclay Center.
Yeah, they're 6 of 12 from deep.
It was just a matter of time for Darian Sebron to get it going. He is electric in transition, leaves Sasha Stefanovic in the dust. And then Sebron again pushing that basketball. Terquavion Smith, the trail action right there, just waltzes right into an uncontested 3.
Smith now with 15. Williams in the post. Remember, Dewana playing with 3 fouls here. What a move by Travion Williams.
I love that he went to score that ball right there. He's got one-on-one coverage. Defenders staying home on shooters. You've got a guy with 3 fouls on him to make NC State pay, and that's exactly what Travion Williams did right there.
He loves that little shoulder shimmy, doesn't he? All the time, Travion Williams. Hayes down the lane with a left hand. He got it to go. Now they called goaltending, and it was, but it went in anyway.
Start the second half. The dribble containment here for Purdue has not been good, whether it's been in ball screen action or even some of the dribble drives by Darian Sebron. That's just too easy.
So the 2 biggest issues the last couple of games you're seeing with Purdue are defense and then intense pressure on the other side really speeding them up.
Pressure has taken them out of a lot of their sets. But yeah, those are 2 things that certainly have posed some issues for the Purdue Boilermakers.
And Williams forces one up there through the contact, no whistle. And NC State right now looking good, and they've got to be feeling very comfortable. Trying to get their first win over a top-ranked team since 2013 when they beat Duke. And they're up 12 now. Purdue's largest deficit that they faced all season. Timeout by Matt Painter. The Boilers once again in some trouble.
Terquavion Smith, the reigning ACC Freshman of the Week. He's making a heck of a case to do that and run it back. Terquavion Smith, 17 points, 6 of 8 from the field, has 9 points in this half. He's gotten into the paint. He's made threes. He has been a problem for the Purdue Boilermakers this afternoon.
How about that? Already 9 points in the second half for Smith. From Greenville, North Carolina. Mentioned he was a 4-star recruit. Had a lot of suitors, but he said NC State was the first school to recruit me hard. They never let up, and that's where I wanted to go. And he's making an impact early in his career.
He can really score the basketball. These NC State guards are living in the painted area right now. Purdue is not able to contain the bounce. You talked about it earlier, how that and handling pressure for their offensive sets have really plagued them over the course of the last 2 games. But NC State exposing Purdue right now.
So the largest deficit that Purdue has faced all season, they were down 11 to Villanova, came back and won that game. How do they respond here in Brooklyn? Over the top, Edey, that's a good response.
They love to run that play, and it's such a well set up action by Matt Painter. It looks like a cross screen. These bigs are so programmed to fight over the top, and it's actually designed to throw a lob on the backside. Well done by Purdue.
Edey now with 9. Matt Painter, 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year, trying to avoid his team from losing 2 straight after being ranked #1 for the first time in school history.
Painter is into his guys right now about being into the basketball and making life tough on NC State. Just a little casual right now defensively.
Smith over Thompson, short. Rebound comes down to Gillis.
Good block out by Mason Gillis.
Stefanovic. Thompson, open look. Off the left side, battle for the board. Oh, that's on Dewan. It's his 4th.
I think it is.
Oh no, I think they got Jericho Helms. Yeah, that's a break for NC State. Timeout on the floor. Basketball on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Weather yesterday wasn't so nice, but today here in the New York City area, gorgeous. 44-34, NC State up 10 inside of 16 minutes in the second half. You and I were talking during the break. Think about it. Last game when Purdue lost to Rutgers, Rutgers shot it well from deep, and NC State, a team not known for their 3-point shooting, but they've shot it well today too.
Yeah, but if you let a team as talented as NC State get their head up and they see the first couple go in, we talked about it earlier, they're on scholarship. I mean, yes, their percentages don't say they're a good shooting team, but everybody at this level, you see it go in a couple times, you're going to start making some shots. Zach Edey has not been able to capitalize on any of his looks.
And Stefanovic continues to stay cold as well on a good look there. Well, you're right, I think Edey's had 3 or 4 right at the rim that haven't dropped.
Purdue's also had some open threes here in the second half. That one by Sasha Stefanovic. Jay Ivey has gotten some looks, and they just can't buy one from 3.
And they're just 2 of 15 from long range. Here's Helms, and Edey got the block there.
Mason Gillis is doing some good things for Purdue on both ends of the floor. Isaiah Thompson missed Jay Ivey. He's still open.
And he hits it. First 3 in the second half for Purdue.
NC State just not having an awareness of who they're guarding. Jaden Ivey was open the whole time down in transition, and nobody picked him up.
Ivey now with 13 points, and that's an offensive foul. It's an illegal screen on Helms, his second. Weekdays, Dave Revson leading an in-depth discussion about everything happening in the Big Ten, talking with some of the conference's biggest names. It's called Big Ten Today, weekdays, noon Eastern on the Big Ten Network. You know, you mentioned Mason Gillis and the work he's done. He kind of reminds me of what Ethan Morton does. They don't put up a lot of points or stats, but they're just pretty solid.
No doubt. I think they're both winning players. Mason Gillis, a much better shooter from the perimeter than Ethan Morton, but I thought Gillis against Iowa was a huge difference maker into the game, and that's the kind of feels he's giving you right now with his play.
He got subbed in for by Morton, and first out there as well, the freshman. He feeds Ivy here. Ivy lost his feet. Yep. Traveled.
That was a smart play by not Emmanuel Duana, but Ebenezer Duana. So he just backs off him. Zach Edey loses his balance, and Paul Sells gets him for the travel.
Emmanuel Duana, as we mentioned earlier, was the one who played at Purdue the last few years, now at Tennessee State. His brother, the sophomore for NC State here. Getting tripped. Cam Hayes. The foul is going to be on Isaiah Thompson.
The amazing thing about this, Brandon, is that as poorly as it feels that Purdue has played, they are still only trailing by 7 points. They are right there. It just feels like NC State should be up by 15.
The largest lead has been a dozen. Here's Casey Morsell. Darion Sebron with a shot clock dwindling. Great pass inside. What a block by Edey. And the big fella fights for it. Horn sounded with the shot clock expiring, but play continues. Ivy. Power dribble. And another travel by the big fella.
Matt Painter does not like the call. We'll see. Zach Edey puts it on the floor. Oh, his feet are, yeah, he's dancing around. That's a good call.
Now Purdue with 8 turnovers, 7 for NC State.
Edey has just not been on balance here.
That's something that he's frequently praised for, is his balance. Cam Hayes, errant pass. Now each team with 8 turnovers. Boy, but Zach Edey did have a great block a moment ago.
Yes, he did. This looks like it's going to be a basket for Ebenezer Duana. Zach Edey, with his size and his length, can really protect the rim.
And the shuffle between he and Williams continues as Travion Williams heads back onto the floor.
They got Zach Edey the ball in just terrific spots to score. I think it's a good substitution by Matt Painter to bring Travion Williams in here and let him go to work.
Travion Williams, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists off the bench here for Purdue today. Getting at 21 and 11 against Rutgers in the loss on Thursday over in Jersey. Ivy.
Ooh, oh, he had him.
Yeah, he did.
That was well done by Jalen Gibson to just kick that foot out and find that basketball, because that was going to be a dunk.
Gibson out there, Duana on the bench with a foul trouble for NC State. Ivy down the lane, great pass. Well, there's the dunk. They got it after all.
Jaden Ivey starting to do some real positive things on the offensive end of the floor. Simple ball screen action. He's coming to the middle. The shot blocker comes over. He drops it off for Travion Williams, who finishes with the flush.
7-0 run for Purdue. Smith.
That's not close.
And the Boilermakers will get it back.
Purdue's offense showing some signs of life. You see the shot blocker coming over. Jalen Gibson to block that shot. There's no backside rotation. Travion Williams knows what to do with it from there.
I feel like Jaden Ivey has become much more assertive the last 10 minutes.
He is looking to get downhill and get to the basket.
There he lost it, and then he picks up the foul, and he and Smith getting a little testy.
I love the way that Terquavion Smith just stayed in that play. It looked like he was beat from Jaden Ivey, but he just stayed with it, reached right in there, took his ball. Well done by the freshman.
The freshman now is going to head to the bench as Thomas Allen replaces him. NC State has missed their last 4 shots since starting this half 5 of 6 and getting up by that 12-point margin. Sebron, leading scorer, leading rebounder on the season. This time, passing it inside. What a block, Williams. But following it up, Jalen Gibson.
That action has hurt Purdue all day. It's a simple ball screen in the middle of the floor, a roll and replace action, and Purdue's guards on the weak side are just not in there in the painted area. And by the time they get there, it's just way too late.
Stops a 7-0 run, skip pass to Newman. Remember, Newman got pulled in the first half after a couple of bad shots. Williams rolling to the rim, patient, scoring it. I feel like the intensity of this game, Robbie's picking up.
It is certainly starting to ratchet up on both ends of the floor, and we've got ourselves a good one here with 11:25 to play.
5-point game. Sebron again, guarded by Morton. Trying to take him off the dribble, and he does. Rolls around and through.
You're Trevion Williams, and that's just not good enough at all. You don't move your feet. You let Sebron get around you, and then you just swipe at the basketball. And you've got to try to help your guard and keep him out of the paint.
Almost a turnover. Caleb first. Threw it through the hands of Thompson, and it is a Purdue turnover. That NC State pressure continuing to wreak havoc. And Purdue now with 10 turnovers as we hit the timeout. Hardest working player brought to you by Duluth Trading Company. It's Trevion Williams.
Trevion Williams, outside of Jaden Ivey, has been the most effective Purdue offensive player. In the first half, really running the floor, making things happen out of the post. You have to expect Purdue to try to play through their best two guys, Jaden Ivey, Trevion Williams. If they're going to come back in this, they're going to have to handle NC State's pressure and physicality. But this man right there is going to be a big part of that.
There's 4 assists for him, a season high. His career 8 in assists is 8. Inside of 11 minutes to go, NC State has led this thing the entire way. Sebron kicks to the corner. Now Hayes fading away. Ball deflected into the hands of Hunter, but he has it stripped. Sebron rejected by Williams, but Darion Sebron just wanted that thing more.
Well, Purdue finally guarded the ball screen action well on the weak side. Eric Hunter getting a good contest, but you're right, Darion Sebron, you have to finish possessions if you're Purdue, and Darion Sebron just playing harder than everybody else on the floor right now.
Here's Thomas Allen, number 5, who started his career at Nebraska and transferred. 3 is good for Jericho Helms, and NC State back up double digits.
You can hear Matt Painter screaming it. He's going to shoot it. A simple pick and pop action. It's a tough guard for Caleb First. He's trying to stop the ball off the screen, but Jericho Helms can really make you pay from 3. Pops back and does just that.
NC State's hit 7 threes and 15 tries. Rutgers also was good against them in 3-point shooting, and now another turnover as Ivy loses it out of bounds. Matt Painter's look says it all, and there are the numbers we've discussed from the last 2 games.
He's gotten torched from the 3-point line, and right now Purdue just looks so uncomposed on the offensive end of the floor.
11 turnovers. Season average is just under 13 for Purdue. Still 10 minutes to play. Sebron downhill. He thought he got fouled, no whistle. Gillis trying to feed Williams, but the pass wasn't there. Now it's deflected. Allen got a hand on that.
It's so casual from Eric Hunter. I mean, you're playing like you're down at the rec. This is against an NC State team that's going to pressure you. Where's the ball fake? Where's the fundamental passing? And again, Purdue just out of sorts.
Sebron gets it out to Helms. Another one falls for the Wolfpack. They're on fire. Largest lead at 13. Timeout, Matt Painter. Shaking his head. He's like, who is this team?
Jericho Helms, welcome to the ball game. You have the dribble drive. Mason Gillis stopping the ball, but Jericho Helms shooting almost 40% from 3 on the year. Matt Painter wants timeout, wants to talk it over. You're right, Brandon. This has not been the Purdue team that we saw over the course of the first 7 games, and he's letting these guys know that.
Yeah, he is getting after him. The start of the game, He was pretty calm even when they got down early, but that has changed since coming back out for the second half. Let's go over to Andy.
One thing I've noticed sitting right by the Purdue bench is that Matt Painter and the staff are constantly looking for the right combinations. I mean, you could say it's maybe a quick hook. He's been playing 10 guys, but he's still looking for someone to be the right person to come in defensively. The latest addition was to put Mason Gillis in. But every time something poor happens defensively, he looks down. Okay, who's next? Who can I try to get in there to get a stop?
In fairness to Matt Painter, got to give him a reason to play it too. I mean, you got to go out here and produce, and just because you have the #1 ranking next to your name, well, that brings even more reason to play hard against this team. So I'm disappointed in the way that Purdue has played from in terms of have they played hard and have they played with a pulse? And at times it looks like no, they're not.
Williams, there's a pulse. Count it, he'll head to the line. That stops the 8-0 run.
There's that jab step again, and he's got a mismatch against pretty much any big in the country when he's out on the perimeter. Purdue really spacing the floor. Trevion Williams had so much room to operate right there.
14 points, 7 of 10 from the floor, now 15 for Trevion Williams, 2 above his season average. DeWanna back in with 3 fouls. Both he and Jalen Gibson, who are trying to defend the post, have 3 for NC State.
You can hear it. They're yelling switch, 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 and Jaden Ivey didn't do that. Mason Gillis just gets whipped off the bounce. Purdue is not doing the little things defensively that it takes to win high-level college basketball games right now.
What did you say at the start of this broadcast with NC State? You said they want to get guys like Sebron and drive the ball.
They just drive that thing. Sebron is as good as anybody you're going to see at finding ways to get to the basket. And then you throw in Cam Hayes, who can do that, get to his pull-up. Quavion Smith has had a nice afternoon. These NC State guards have played really well today.
Sebron now with 11. Smith with 17. And both of them go for Darion Sebron. Here's that pressure.
That's the thing about Purdue turning it over a couple minutes ago against the press. NC State's going to make it tough on the first pass, and then they're just going to retreat.
Ivey rejected by DeWanna. Met him at the apex. Sebron leaves it up top. That one off the heel. There's Williams.
He has no idea that Jericho Helms is even there.
They got a break. Purdue just a little helter-skelter. Brandon Newman, great three-point shooter, but he's been off today. Newman is 0 of 4 from the floor.
Not taking good shots. You've made 3 in a row. I'm with that last one from Brandon Newman. But you've struggled. You've taken some bad shots. That's not one to find your rhythm right there.
Sebron tries to split 2 defenders, so they're going to call a travel. Gillis also got hit pretty hard in the hip. He's going to shake it off. Timeout. NC State has been up from the jump. They lead it by a dozen. And Purdue, as we've talked about, Robbie, they just look all out of sorts.
I just don't think they've come out here today and played with the edge that you need to play with if you want to be considered one of the elite teams in college basketball. That's not to say they didn't have it earlier in the season. You look at the Villanova, the North Carolina games, absolutely. But as you get to that #1 ranking and you don't bring it like that, NC State has played harder. They have looked like they wanted it more. And honestly, I just think the most disappointing thing for me today about Purdue is that I just don't think that they've played all that hard.
You know, and Matt Painter talked to the media yesterday on that same subject. He said, look, we were not playing perfect basketball. And when you're on a great winning streak like that, and you get to #1, sometimes it's human nature to lose that edge. And that's exactly kind of what we're seeing and what you saw in person against Rutgers and now here this afternoon in Brooklyn.
First time in program history being ranked #1. They lose at the buzzer at Rutgers, and now down here. Williams missing. Another rebound coming down to Thomas Allen as he brings it to the front court.
Ebenezer DeWanna doing a great job there of not fouling and making that tough on Trevion Williams.
Now you get to the stage where you start to watch the clock here a little bit. And there's another foul on Gillis. That's his third. Later tonight, The Big Show delivering all the news of the day. Highlights from around the conference as well. Don't miss it. The Big Show tonight, 9 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Each team with 5 fouls. Cam Hayes been quite late as of late, but another guy in double figures for NC State. He has 10 as he goes to work here. Step back, foot on the line. Would have been a 2. He missed it anyway. Jaden Ivey, can the sophomore star continue to come to life?
Good cut.
That was a great cut and a great pass. Williams feeding Gillis.
Quavion Smith just not paying attention to man and ball right there. He loses track of that basketball. Mason Gillis cuts to the basket, and an easy one there for Purdue.
Now 5 assists for Travion Williams. Gillis, remember, 3 fouls. Guarding Smith here, and he just picked up his 4th. You heard Matt Painter, he said, what are you doing? A little careless there by Mason Gillis.
You have gotten a freshman there to take just an awful shot. He's off balance. He's chucking up a 16-footer, and what are you doing is a very good question right there. This is a wild, out of control, off balance. It's not a smart play.
Quavion Smith continues to lead all scorers. He now has 18 as Gillis goes to the bench and Morton returns. Boy, Matt Painter, the looks on his face have not been very friendly here in the second half. Purdue this year 2-0 against the ACC. You mentioned the win over North Carolina. They also blew out Florida State 93-65 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, but struggling here this afternoon. Backdoor pass, 6 assists now for Williams.
Just terrific execution. You're so concerned as a defender about Sasha Stefanovic coming off. He's slipping that screen, and because of that, the defenders are paying attention to him, and Ethan Morton able to slip that to the rim.
Travion Williams, 15, 5, and 6. Purdue as a team has 14 assists. He has almost half of them. Seaborn, careless pass. Hunter to Morton. Morton with a shot fake, and he draws the foul on Sebron.
That steal is going to be credited to Eric Hunter, but Ethan Morton getting over this ball screen totally makes the play. I mean, he just blows the play up. You're going to see him slide over. And Eric Hunter just shooting right through there, but Ethan Morton, that was terrific effort, and the type of effort that you need to play with on every possession if you want to be an elite team in this country.
Ethan Morton, who rarely scores, just 2 points a game, knocks down the free throw. Remember, this is the guy who was Pennsylvania Mr. Basketball from Butler, PA. Averaged 28 points a contest as a senior in high school. But he knows his role for Purdue, and he plays it well.
And Brandon, it's a domino effect. You get over that screen, now the big doesn't have to stay. And if the big doesn't have to stay, he gets back to his man. Now that roll guy can get back to his. It's contagious. And Ethan Morton did a great job right there.
Purdue showing a little bit of life here. Down to 8. Hayes guarded closely by Eric Hunter with 5 to shoot. Has it stripped by Williams. Up to Ivey. Ivey lays it in. Timeout NC State. The Boilers are back in it. A 6-0 run for Purdue.
Well, the defense creating some offense. Purdue doing a much better job. This time it's Eric Hunter getting over the pick and roll. We've seen Travion Williams do this already once today with those long arms. Just takes that guard's ball, wisely gives it up to Jaden Ivey, and just like that, Purdue's defense has gotten them back in the game.
Ivey now with 15 points. 4:53 remaining. Yeah, you said it, the defense really getting Purdue back in this ball game, and it feels like maybe for just the second time today, NC State facing a little bit of adversity.
Some game pressure certainly towards the Wolfpack for the first time today, and Purdue has ratcheted up their defensive intensity. This has not been a masterpiece by any means on the offensive end of the floor, and defensively I think Purdue has struggled for much of the day. But finally, some signs of life, and the numbers tell the story. NC State hasn't scored in the last 4-17.
Still up by 6. Ivy's giving him a spark. Travion Williams mentioned the assists, 7 of them, 7 field goals, so he has a hand in 14 of Purdue's 22 made baskets here in this one.
Matt Painter really trusting Ethan Morton. We saw him guard Ron Harper Jr. a lot the other night in Piscataway, and now Darion Sebron here tonight.
Ivy almost got a steal there. The talented freshman Smith on the talented sophomore, and it's going to be a foul on the sophomore Ivy.
I like the intensity here. Once again, Jaden Ivey into the basketball, and that's not much contact there. I like the fact that these Purdue guards are finally up into NC State and making life tough on them for the first time today.
Third foul on Ivy. Quavion Smith now with 20 points, matching his season high. He and Jaden Ivey. That's been a fun match to watch. 21 now for him. Ivy's going to be the one to bring it up. Driving it on Morcell, blew right by him. Holy cow!
Talk about taking the pressure and just flipping it on you. That's Jaden Ivey going 94 feet, going up and hammering it.
And Morcell with that ankle injury, he just took it right to him.
You're playing right into his hands when you let him. That's like a transition bucket, and that's where he's at his best. You got to have somebody help stop the basketball if you're NC State.
Travion Williams has a couple of steals, almost got another. Sebron with a left hand, yes.
Boy, what an answer. I love the fact that Darion Sebron caught that with a head of steam. He caught that almost running to the basket. And when you do that, it's a tough guard because you're closing out to the three-point line. He got himself free there by doing his work early.
Williams is open, and he opts to take it to the rim. It's knocked out of bounds. Final media timeout, getting down to the good stuff.
These guards getting to the basket. You want to pick Jaden Ivey up 94 feet. Watch this. Takes off right to the basket. How about that slam? But Darion Sebron right back at you. We have got a good one here in Brooklyn. Don't go anywhere.
Big Ten game break coming up next to get you ready for Maryland, Florida. But first, Rick Pizzo, Brian Butch, Rayfeld Davis with less than 4 minutes to play. Purdue down 8 with the ball. NC State continues to have an answer, though, for the Boilers.
The Boilers have to get some stops on the defensive end. It's going to be crucial. They got to get stops.
Got to get 3 stops in a row and throw the ball inside to your big fella to win the game.
Don't commit fouls. NC State in the bonus as well. Brandon, Robbie, Andy, take us home from the Barclay. Should be a fun Final Four.
NC State trying to get their 7th win all time against a team ranked number 1 in the nation, up 62-54. They've led it from the start. Boilermakers have showed signs of life. What is going to be the key here for Purdue down the stretch? We talked so much about them getting the ball inside, but they're going to need to make some outside shots here late.
You know, you have to imagine that Travion Williams is going to have single coverage. I think the most important thing for Purdue right now is going to be getting stops. I mean, they finally have ratcheted up that defensive intensity, but what an answer from Darion Sebron. I think they're going to play through Travion Williams and go right at Ebenezer Dwana.
Well, that's what they do right here, and it pays off. It's like you've seen this game a time or two.
There is plenty of time. You got 3:27 left in this game. It's all about getting stops right now and playing through Williams.
Purdue 7 fouls, NC State with 6, so keep in mind free throws both sides the rest of the way. Darion Sebron kicking it out. Smith, he's been the leading scorer for the Wolfpack. But a one-hand floater, but he airballed it. Battle for the board, and Williams secures it.
Well done by Eric Hunter. Once again, you get over the ball screen, you move your feet. It's a tough shot for Quavion Smith.
Ethan Morton back to Stefanovic. Hunter wide open. A little too much. Purdue had made their last 5 shots before that miss.
That's a wide open shot. He made a big one at Rutgers leg. That's one that Eric Hunter, I'm sure, wishes he got back.
See the numbers. Purdue just 3 of 18 from outside the arc. They came in 42%, 6th in the country.
The question is, where was this defensive intensity earlier in the game?
Sebron blocked by Williams. 5 to shoot. I'm with you, though, on the defensive intensity. I guess better late than never.
Yeah, but you only get so many of these things. I mean,
especially when you're ranked #1 in the nation. 5 blocks now for Purdue. So watch the shot clock here. Smith in rhythm, but he missed it. And Stefanovic got fouled, so we'll walk to the other end for a 1-and-1. Still to come, we got another ball game after this. 20th ranked Florida taking on Maryland right here at the Barclays. Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app, all presented by Wagoneer.
That's a bad foul by Jericho Helms. As much as this Purdue offense has struggled today, you're going to walk 94 feet and give Sasha Stefanovic an opportunity for 2 freebies here if he knocks down the first.
And Stefanovic, 87% at the line of the season coming in. Conley knocks down the first, his first point of the ball game. As Matt Painter looks on, trying to avoid back-to-back losses here in the tri-state area. And Stefanovic gets them both. Purdue fans coming to life. Trying to back down Stefanovic, fading, got it! What a shot by Jericho Helms!
That is a major league shot from Jericho Helms. He just backs down Sasha Stefanovic, a little shoulder shimmy, gets to his fadeaway jumper, and that's a big-time shot by a really good player.
Only 4th-year senior on the team, a lot of sweat equity for Helms in this Wolfpack program.
Oh man!
Stefanovic, got it! Here we go!
I thought Travion Williams might have messed him up by throwing a really awkward handoff, but Sasha Stefanovic didn't matter, got his feet set, and just drilled it.
This has turned into a dandy, and most of the folks here in Brooklyn are on their feet.
Darion Sebron is driving that ball right here. He's going to try to get to the rim.
Corner, Morcell. Yep, it did. Ivy got a piece. And here's Ivy in transition. Stepping through. And they say the block was clean, but it will be Purdue ball.
What an outlet by Travion Williams. It was certainly risky, but he got that rebound and just fired it out to Jaden Ivey.
Back to a 1-possession game. Purdue has been down by as many as 13. They've never led in this contest. Williams using the handles in the lane. Up, in, and the foul on Duwana. Travion Williams will have a chance to tie this ball game.
Well, the ISO is there. They clear the whole side once again. He's showing off the handle. There's the contact. Ebenezer Duwana just getting him right on that arm, and Travion Williams going right through him for a monster bucket.
What a game for Williams. 19, 7, and 8 assists. And we are tied for the first time since it was 0-0. An 18-6 Boilermaker run. And Kevin Keats is going to take a timeout. What a response from Purdue. After looking dead in the water, they have evened this thing up with just inside of 43 seconds, Robbie.
Well, it's been a different team. Purdue has just ratcheted it up on the defensive end of the floor the last 8 or 9 minutes, and all of a sudden, guards getting over the top of screens. The help defense has been better. With a 6-0 run over the last 54 seconds, Purdue's made 7 of their last 9. It's been on both ends. An impressive run, but I think the question has to be, why did it take getting down so much to get to this? Here's the Sasha 3. Really a weird handoff there by Trevion Williams, but didn't matter. It's a big-time shot by Sasha Stefanovic.
And a guy who has gotten better looks today and missed all of them, and then he knocks the tough one
toughest
down.
one he's had today, because it just throws your rhythm. It can throw off your footwork. But not the case right there. Stefanovic knocking it down.
All right, each team with 1 timeout, both teams in the bonus. So if you're Kevin Keats here, you've got some options. You got a few double-digit scores in this game. What do you think he's trying to do?
I would assume that he's going to go to Sebron, let him play in some ball screen action and just spread shooters around him. You're going to have Terquavion Smith out there. Casey Morsell, I believe, was on the floor when that timeout was called, and you're just going to let your best player go make a play. He's been able to get downhill. Jericho Hellam certainly could be in that action as a pick and pop 4. Now it's interesting to see, will Purdue switch if it's a 1-on-4 ball screen? I think it's for sure going to be Darion Sebron time here.
Darion Sebron, a 2-time ACC Player of the Week for the first month of the season. But right now, it's Cam Hayes. Sebron's coming to get it. Here he is. He's going to drive. Down the lane. Up and in. Darion Sebron, a spectacular play and finish.
It's just so hard to contain. Trevion Williams couldn't stop the ball. You knew it was coming. I mean, everybody in the Barclay Center knew that Darion Sebron was going to get the ball in a position to get downhill. He gets the ball screen and just wills his way to the basket. Ethan Morton trying to get over the top. Trevion Williams coming to stop it, but the Euro step right back to his right hand. I mean, that is like a PhD class in Euro stepping. That is high level. Changing direction, doing it without traveling.
Ooh, 5 field goals, none bigger than that for Sebron. So Matt Painter takes his final timeout. Keep that in mind. You got 1 second different shot and game clock here. It's Matt Painter going to Trevion Williams.
Yes. I mean, we saw it in Rutgers. He went right to the big fella. He's most likely going to have one-on-one coverage. You're not going to post trap and give up a 3. Purdue has shot it too well on the year. I don't think Kevin Keats will do that, but Trevion Williams is going to get the ball, I would assume, on that left block, and he's going to try to get to his right-hand jump hook.
Yeah, you referenced the end of the Rutgers game. There were 3 lead changes in the final 15 seconds. A lot of people forget Williams had the go-ahead bucket before that half-court heave by Ron Harper Jr. that gave Purdue their first loss of the season. And I'm guessing here you're also setting up what you're going to do on the defensive end as well.
Totally. Purdue, just in terms of the way they've played on the defensive end of the floor, it's all about being into the basketball. You've got to get over on these ball screens. Make your life easy.
Trevion Williams with the 20 points and the 7 rebounds and 8 assists. Of course, keep in mind Jaden Ivey. He also has 17 for Matt Painter's crew. And it will be Ivey that will inbound it here with 27 seconds remaining. Purdue trying to avoid back-to-back losses after being ranked #1 for the first time in the school's history. Stefanovic to the rim! What a play! And we're tied again! The surprise drive by Stefanovic, and now NC State with a shot clock turned off. And folks, it's Darion Sebron time. Driving on Morton again. Up, no! Rebound to Williams. Purdue has no timeouts. It's knocked out of bounds. It will stay with Purdue. 2.1 to play.
Boy, what a sequence right there. Sasha Stefanovic has really struggled on this trip to the East Coast, but so much attention being paid to Trevion Williams. He gets that handoff. I assume it was for a throwback so they could enter into the post to Trevion Williams, but nobody stops the ball. He just floats it up there. That was an incredible finish.
Matt Painter's trying to set something up. Again, without a timeout here, Williams will be the trigger man. Can Purdue do to NC State what Rutgers did to Purdue 3 days ago? No, they threw it out of bounds. Williams tried to feed Edey, and now NC State, Robbie, will have it in the front court. Kevin Keats does have a timeout. He's going to go ahead and take it here.
That is the absolute worst-case scenario if you're Purdue. I mean, worst case, it should have been you go to overtime, and that pass wasn't even close from Trevion Williams. And now NC State going to have a look at this to win the game in regulation. They're trying to throw this to Zach Edey, and I mean, there's certainly contact there. Ebenezer Dewana holding him up, but I'm not sure even if he wasn't, that would have been caught. That wasn't even close.
Wow, so now NC State with a chance. And again, they're inbounding in the front court here with 2.1 remaining.
This is going to end up being like an NBA advance the ball spot here for them. Kevin Keats going to be able to draw up something to get a really high quality shot. With the way they've shot the ball today, Terquavion Smith, Jericho Helms, with 2.1 seconds, I would assume it's going to be some screening action for a shot. You don't have time to take more than a couple, one or two dribbles.
And if you're wondering why the ball is going to be inbounded in the front court when it went over the out-of-bounds line on the other side, it's because it never touched anybody, and that's the rule. Had it touched a player on the other side of the floor, then it would be inbounded there.
They're going to put Zach Edey on the ball here. Cam Hayes at 6'3" is going to have to do a really good job of getting this ball in.
Right now, the officials talking about the substitution that Purdue just brought in Mason Gillis, DJ Karstensen. So some extra time to build up the suspense of this moment. Oh, Matt Painter saw his team lose on a half-court buzzer beater Thursday over in New Jersey, and now NC State trying to beat Purdue at the buzzer again. Last time NC State beat a ranked team that was #1 in the land, Duke, back on January 12th of 2013. Now Mason Gillis, this is what they're questioning. He was going to sub in. And they're talking about, since the ball was never touched in play, can they bring Gillis in? And the ruling is no, so Stefanovic stays on. Yeah, the official came over to us and just said that. Since the clock is still at 2.1, Purdue cannot sub in. As you said, Robbie, it'll be Edey defending on the inbound here with those 7'4" long arms. Hayes gets it into the corner. Wait, that ball hit the sideline. Oh my goodness, and Purdue's going to get it back. Now the clock says 1.8, but they'll have to put that back to 2.1.
This is a masterclass in how to not run sideline out of bounds plays at the end of a game. That hits the sideline here, and now Purdue going to have an opportunity. It looks like I'm guessing that Ethan Morton is going to inbound this ball. He's subbing in here.
Yeah, remember last time it was Trevion Williams who had the turnover. Now it is Morton that will initiate. All the suspense, everybody in the building on their feet. Well, now, you couldn't sub last time after the ball was thrown out, but here they're letting NC State go ahead and sub in. And Jalen Gibson comes into the game, gives him some more height. Neither team with a timeout. Morton gets it to Stefanovic. The heave. No. And we are destined for 5 extra minutes in Brooklyn. Purdue was down 13. They battle back to tie things up at 66 apiece. Woo. We need a breather. 30-second break. We'll be right back. Well, buckle up. Here we go. 5 extra minutes. #1 ranked team in the land, Purdue, battles back, ties it at 66. If we go to overtime after one of the stranger end-of-game sequences we've seen, but the bottom line, neither team could execute, Robbie, and I feel like Purdue, this is a new lease on life.
It totally is. For as well as NC State played today, for Purdue to force overtime, we'll see kind of how NC State's morale and body language is to come out. You should have won the game in regulation. Purdue made a furious run into the game. I've never seen anything like we just saw where you don't have just one team. I've seen it happen to one team. I have never seen a team give it right back like NC State just did.
So each team ended regulation with no timeouts. They both get one for the overtime session. Neither team in the double bonus, but both teams in the bonus. Purdue with 7 fouls, NC State with 8.
Give credit to Matt Painter for throwing Zach Edey on the basketball to inbounds the ball, because with his height and length, that's going to alter the way you have to throw that pass in, and because of that, ends up hitting the line. And what a bizarre ending to the game. I've never seen that before.
Saw that this is Purdue's first overtime game of the season. NC State, their only overtime game, they had 4 overtimes, and then they won against Nebraska.
They are well versed in overtime.
They won that game 104 to 104 OTs against the Cornhuskers. All right, let's tip it up all over again. And Williams controls it for Purdue.
I would think Purdue is going to play right through the post. They're going to throw the ball to Travion Williams and let him go right at Dewana.
He's also taking him off the bounce. Instead, it's Stefanovic, and boy, he has caught his rhythm late, and Purdue has their first lead of the game.
Purdue loves to run this slip play for Sasha Stefanovic. He slips out of the screening action, comes right to the handoff. NC State botches it. You give it right back. It's a tough foul there for Sasha Stefanovic after you make a big 3.
Puts NC State at the line, but Robbie Stefanovic, 10 points, and all of them have come here in the last 5 minutes.
They've needed every one of them. He did not have a good first 30 minutes of the game. Really struggled defensively at Rutgers. Didn't make shots like he has been able to in the past. And boy, Travion Williams, we saw it at Rutgers. It happened twice. Ron Harper Jr. got 2 offensive rebounds. That could have happened right there. It's got to box out better.
Purdue got a break because Helms is an 86% free throw shooter. Travion Williams, by the way, 9 assists, a new career high for him. Here he's backing down Dewana. Did he travel? Yes, he's got called for that a couple of times here.
Called that pro hop type action.
And for Purdue, 14 turnovers, 12 for NC State. Terquavion Smith been quiet as of late, but he has 21 points. Hayes on the drive. Hayes leaning in. Got it to go with a left.
Eric Hunter had him on the side and then just let Cam Hayes get to his left hand. I thought they were going to be able to almost down that ball screen and keep him on the right side of the floor, but nice job by Cam Hayes of just not allowing that to happen.
Hunter surveying. Stefanovic, Williams calling for it. Off the bounce, yeah, he's held.
Play by Travion Williams.
And Dewana, that's 5 on him. He just fouled out of the game.
I mean, Dewana has seen him just back him down time after time after time. This is like a hitter expecting a fastball and getting a changeup. Now you just rip it through. It's just a smart play from Travion Williams to get himself to the foul line, and there's the rip and go. There's the hand check with the left hand. It's an easy call for both Brian Dorsey and DJ Carstensen.
And even though Ebenezer Dewana has not scored, that's a big loss right now for NC State.
He has battled. Now you're going to have to see Jalen Gibson come back here, 6'10", 220. We've mentioned this multiple times today. He's given up 45 pounds to Travion Williams. It's just... This is where you miss Manny Bates. I mean, Ebenezer Dewana would be your backup. Manny Bates hurt 57 seconds into the season. Hurts his shoulder. That's a 2-time blocks champion in the ACC. It's just I think Kevin Keats has done a phenomenal job. This NC State team plays hard. They're undermanned in their front court, but boy, they compete.
Travion Williams, oh, he misses the front end. Travion Williams, he's a rebound and an assist shy of a triple-double, which is so rare in college basketball.
Just a monster today in all facets.
But missing the free throw, and now NC State with a chance to regain the lead. Hayes hit the bucket a moment ago. Not that time. And Purdue will get it after Gibson was battling with Williams inside.
This ball goes up, and Gibson going over the top. Looks like that is the right call with Gibson's right hand. Just knocking that out of bounds.
That does not count as a rebound for Williams, by the way. That's a team rebound when it goes out like that. Inside of 3 minutes here in overtime, Purdue by a penny in what has turned out to be a gem in the first of two. We still have another one after this. Florida and Maryland foul away from the ball, and that's 10 on NC State, so now double bonus the rest of the way for Purdue.
NC State has committed some very untimely fouls, and late in the second half and now in overtime, where the Purdue offense that at one time in this game struggling to score, just giving them free looks, 3 points.
It's also 4 on Jericho Helms. So should this go more than one overtime, foul trouble could be an issue for the Wolfpack. Mason Gillis, 8 points, 4 rebounds. Give him 9, nothing but nylon. First half, Purdue struggled to shoot it, especially in the first 10 minutes, but since then, they have flipped the script.
I think Sebron has got to get a touch here.
Oh, Hunter stole it. Ivy. No, Williams, yes. Timeout NC State. That may end up being the play of the game right there. Travion Williams, Robbie, he's done it all.
He has certainly done just that, but credit Eric Hunter. He is on the floor for his defense, and here, just a little bit casual from NC State. Eric Hunter with the steal. Jaden Ivey going to the rack, unable to finish, but how about Travion Williams? Not just assuming this is going down, staying in the play and making the play of the game.
Season high 22 points to go along with those career high 9 assists and the 9 rebounds for the senior. What a game.
They've needed every bit of it too. Sometimes in games you see triple doubles where one team's getting blown out, or it's just they have needed every assist, every bucket, every rebound. Travion Williams has ended up being the best player on the floor today.
And Purdue's largest lead. Again, they did not lead here until the first shot of overtime by Stefanovic.
I'm going to reiterate what I just said. I think Darian Sebron has got to get a touch here if you're NC State. Play through him, let him play pick and roll, let him get to the basket.
Second leading scorer in the ACC, and here he is. He's got 16 today.
Purdue is really keeping these ball screens on that right side. They're just not letting these NC State guards come off.
It's Morton guarding him. Drives it inside, rejected. Morton got a piece of it first.
Well, that was a goaltend. I'd love to see that again, but I thought that hit the backboard, and Jaden Ivey just took it off. That's a horrible missed call.
Yeah, our producer, Bart Fox, in our ear just said that it did hit the backboard. So Purdue getting a break, and now Stefanovic. Ooh, a great look, missed it. Williams with a rebound. Kick out. Morton in the paint. Shot fake. Needs some help, finds Hunter. What a play. Morton never got rattled, and Hunter just kept moving, and Purdue all of a sudden has a 7-point lead. Jaquavion Smith for 3. No. Williams another board. And this thing is slipping away from the Wolfpack.
Jeez, that almost went in.
A little careless on the pass. Purdue on a 6-0 run. They're up 9-2 in the overtime session. They got lucky there again.
Boy, last 2 possessions, Purdue is living dangerous.
Purdue playing frantic, but they shouldn't be in any rush. But we need to go back to what was a potential goaltend here, Robbie.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. Sebron driving here, Ivy coming over. This thing hits the glass. I mean, it's not going to go in, but by rule.
By the rule.
That's a tough missed call for NC State.
So Jaden Ivey stepping to the line here to try to expand this Purdue lead.
Well, Kevin Keats, he has some serious arguments over here with.
You know, he more or less said we had a great game going and you guys kind of took us out of it.
He wanted to travel on Ethan Morton in that lane on that Eric Hunter cut and basket. He might have a point there. I'd like to see that again.
Purdue by 8. This has been a 21-point swing since NC State was up 13 with 9 minutes left in regulation. Helms down the lane, leaning in. Yes, boy, NC State had to have that.
Purdue closing out. Keep him from shooting that ball. And Helms wisely driving into the basket. You just have to think, you're down 8, you get yourself a 2. A little bit too little, too late here.
And Purdue coming in, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country at over 75%. 11 of 17 today at the line.
At the line for Purdue, number 23, Jaden Ivey.
Jaden Ivey a little over 70% at the stripe this season. And he knocks down the first. Matt Painter looking a little more calm than he did about 20 minutes ago.
Well, give Purdue credit because they certainly did not play well today. They've hung in there, and to even get this game to overtime with the way they played for 30 minutes, it's about finding a way to survive, find a way to win, and it looks like they're going to do that today, barring something crazy here in 50 seconds.
Well, here's Sebron, rejected, got it back, and somehow slipped it up and in.
Look how close Purdue's guards are to the baseline. There's just no space there, and boy, Kevin Keats going to get a technical foul, and this one's going to slip away from NC State.
And that is, if they had any chance, really going to hurt them here with 43 seconds to go. A tough spot for Keats to get teed up, but he did indeed. Well, there's the technical foul that was issued as Stefanovic hits the free throw. And not that NC State was going to come back, but ooh, that's a tough spot for a coach to get teed up. Got to be heartbreaking for Kevin Keats. Looked like his team was going to get a really marquee victory here in the non-conference. And one more for Ivey. Purdue will get a little bit of a breather. Finals this week, and then they'll take on Butler in the Crossroads Classic next Saturday.
There's no shortage of things to work on if you're Purdue, especially on the defensive end of the floor. You've got to find a way to guard with this intensity that we've seen in overtime in the last 6 or 7 minutes of regulation, and bottle that and do that all the time, because that's what elite championship type teams do. You can be an elite offensive team, but when those shots aren't going down, and Purdue is a very good shooting team. Didn't shoot it well today, haven't shot it well on this trip, but your defense can travel, and they've got to find a way to consistently play like this.
Ivey got a hand in the passing lane, knocked it out.
You would think that Travion Williams has to probably find himself into the starting lineup here, right? Zach Edey's a really good player. He's going to have a good year, but this dude's one of the best players in the country.
Helms. Weak side hook, Williams again.
He has done everything here. He has really brought this home for Purdue.
23 seconds left. Ivey's going to go to the line. Travion Williams, a few blocks to go along with everything else that he's done. And Purdue, now they know that they're going to do it. They're going to bounce back with a win. Last triple-double for Purdue. You have to go back, Robbie, to 1977. Looks like he's going to fall 1 assist shy.
What a game. He has been everywhere for Purdue.
Well, you mentioned maybe moving him to the starting lineup. I guess Matt Painter might say, well, he's done pretty good off the bench.
Why change things? He's killing off the bench. No,
but I hear you.
It just seems like Zach Edey is in a little bit of a funk. He's not playing bad. He just at the start of the year was playing so well. But you're right. Maybe it's like, hey, this dude's doing great off the bench. Keep him there.
Ivey skies for the rebound. NC State will not foul. Purdue somehow found a way. From down 13, they force overtime, and they win it by 10. And they erase the heartbreak from Thursday in New Jersey. And for NC State, just a heartbreaking defeat for Kevin Keats and company as they fall to 7-3. But that man was a story. 22 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals for Travion Williams.
He did everything. Down the stretch, Travion Williams played like an All-American. Purdue needed to get it going defensively. They did just that. And they just gave him the ball and said, make plays. It's a heck of a game, and you have to think, probably a season, I don't want to say saving because that's really dramatic, but there's always games in a season where you look at it and say, man, we could have really went south there. And you just have to find a way to win. Purdue did that today. They've got plenty to work on. But if you're Matt Painter, you're saying, hey, we survived in advance, and if you're Kevin Keats, boy, this is a gutting one for NC State.
And Andy is with Matt Painter.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Well, Matt, how do you explain the turnaround and the intensity over those last couple minutes to get this to overtime and then win in overtime?
Well, we couldn't keep them out of the paint. We were trying to box them in to the best of our ability. They kept getting to the middle of the floor and taking us. And when we finally could keep them out a little bit, do a better job contesting, we could get some rebounds and then go the other way. And then we finally made a couple shots. So I thought our guys did a great job of executing and knocking down shots down the stretch.
It seemed like you were searching for the right combos of who was going to play in this game for you at the right time. What did you discover in those final few minutes of regulation?
Well, Ethan Morton helps us when he's out there just because he's a big guard. He made a great play there in overtime when he jump stopped. He can defend different people. He can rebound. He can really pass. Mason got on the glass and got some rebounds and did some little things. We got a lot of guys, but we got to find that cohesive group, and we're still searching for that.
Well, you got a game on Saturday. What's the most important thing you're going to have to change or tweak between now and Butler?
We just got to be better at what we do. We've rebounded the basketball. I think the efficiency, just getting better shots early, not rushing things. Seems like we're just kind of getting shots up. I think sometimes when you have 10 guys, you get into that mode a little bit. But we also got to be better defensively. We got to stay connected, got to contain the dribble, got to play better post D, play better ball screen D. Just everything. I just named the whole game of basketball, right? But no, we just got to keep getting better, and obviously it's a long journey.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Back to you, Brandon.
Yeah, a relieved Matt Painter, as you can tell, as Purdue gets to 9-1, bouncing back after the loss to Rutgers to get the victory. So now Andy has the hero, Travion Williams.
Well, Travion, it took this Purdue team quite some time to be playing a Purdue basketball. Why?
Man, it takes a lot to kind of figure out who you are when your shots are not falling. And we struggled today from the three-point man. And when we went in that locker room in the second half, we wanted to figure out who we were, what type of team are we. And we stuck together, man, and we fought. And luckily we got it to OT, man. We just closed the game out, man, which is what we should have done in the first place. But like I said, when you stick together, man, we can do anything, man.
How much of a hangover was there from the way the Rutgers game ended for you guys the other night?
Man, we wanted to use that as motivation, and we know we should have won that game, man. We should have put it away, and that's something we got to be better at. Just putting games away when we have the lead, and we want to be better in that game, be better in this game. I'm sorry, and man, just build off that. So.
Even when you weren't on the court, you were standing up here with the coaching staff, encouraging almost as another coach. How much did you want to make sure that you influenced the outcome of this game?
Man, it comes with leadership, man. As a freshman, man, I came in and I was being quiet. I didn't say anything to anybody, man. And I found out that, as I grew on, man, I found out that was selfish to my team, So this year, man, I've been trying to work on being more vocal, having energy on the bench, man. And it does a lot for those guys, coming in the game, so.
Congratulations. Appreciate it, Travion.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Back to you, Brandon.
All right, and that's just game one, folks. We still have another Florida and Maryland still to come, but Purdue comes back and gets the victory. And that'll do it for now. We'll head to the studio for Big Ten Live, the basketball game break in a moment. Then we'll be right back here for Florida and Maryland. For Robbie Hummel, Andy Katz, Mark Fox, and Billy Proctor, I'm Brandon Gaunt. We'll talk to you in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome inside this Big Ten Live basketball game break. I have no idea how the players made it through the additional 5 minutes. We're exhausted just from watching Purdue's come from behind win. Unbelievable 82-72 over NC State. Rick Pizzo, Brian Butch, Rayfel Davis alongside. Before we get to the highlights, fellas, you just have to tip your cap to the effort that Purdue put in over the last few minutes of regulation and in overtime, and also to the strategy and motivational tactics of head coach Matt Painter.
Yeah, and it started on the defensive end. We talked at the under 4. Hey, they got to get stops. They got stops. They were able to get out in transition, get some easy baskets. I thought that was key. Purdue, for the majority of this game, for 30 minutes of this game, did not defend, or at least did not defend at Purdue's level. They did the last 10. They did in overtime, and that's why we're talking about a Purdue win right now.
And how big was Ethan Morton tonight? A guy that's only averaged 15 minutes per game coming into tonight. He took on a challenge of guarding Sebron, the best player on that team, and really did all the little things down the stretch. Made great passes, got a huge rebound in that overtime with a tip to Travion. Ethan Morton was a perfect example of always being ready for your moment. A player's going to win a game for you each game. Ethan Morton was big time tonight.